All right, Shalom. We the brothers of Great Millstone, the branch out in Des Moines. First and foremost, we give all praises, honor, glory to
Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash.
double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers who preach the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity, who's rightly divide the word of truth directly and correctly. Peace, blessings, and salutations to you brothers, man. And as you can see, the lesson is called The Mystery of the Gentiles, a history lesson. You know, it's pretty much tied in with geography and different things that the Spirit been on lately, you know, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone out there in New York. And we're pretty much going to get into how Israel was scattered for hundreds of years, man, hundreds of years, you know, dating back all the way to even to the kingdom of Assyria, you know. And like Apostle Tahar and the apostles always say, man, you got to have an understanding of history to understand the things that's written within the pages, man. You know, to understand what was taking place when you read the New Testament, when you read about those Gentiles, those Israelite foreigners, you know, it's a whole lot of history that predates that. You know, but can we start with that scripture?
This is the book of Romans, chapter 11.
Yeah, 11 and 25.
Okay, this is Romans chapter 11 and verse 25. It says, "For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in."
Until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And this is talking about the Israelite foreigners. So just like today, you got guys talking about, oh, the northern kingdom ain't the Israel, ain't a part of the tribes. All the tribes is Negro. And all this madness that they be spewing is because blindness has happened unto them. You see, the Lord has blinded them to this mystery. And when you go into that word mystery, it means a hidden thing. So that's why it's the mystery of the Gentiles, man. You know, that it's going to be Israelites who look like what? These other nations, but yet believe and have faith in Yahweh Basham Yahushua because they are of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is not something new. This just didn't happen during the New Testament, or it didn't happen during the Greek Empire. No, this been happening for ages, man. And Lord willing, this lesson is going to shed light upon that, you know. So without further ado, we're going to screen share. And we're going to hit the first scripture. You get Zechariah, Bible Shah, 18.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 18. It says, "Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem."
And that's talking about the whole nation right there, man. Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. That's the totality of us. But yet you got guys talking about only Judah is scattered to the 4 corners. You see, these niggas ain't reading their scriptures, man. But once again, that's why this is a mystery, and it's only revealed unto his saints, the ones that are sanctified. How are you sanctified? John 17 and 17. You are sanctified by the word. You know, the Lord is only calling those who are predestined to understand this. As it is written in John 4, now the true worshipers are going to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. It says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. John 6 and 63. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So we're going to worship Yahweh Basham Yahushua in spirit and in truth, meaning what? According to the word, according to the mind of Yahweh Shai. You see? So now it says, then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. Now horns represents power. So these are 4 power structures that rose upon the earth. Now, what is these 4 power structures? Can you go to Daniel? We can get 2 or 7. It really don't matter. I'll tell you this. Yeah, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. You said 7, man. Because I was, damn, that's the spirit.
This is Daniel's chapter 7 and verse.
You start at the top.
1. It says, "In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
Yep, the four great beasts is what? Those four horns that rose up. Go ahead.
The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
So now the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, right? Now, from there, can you just jump to Jeremiah 5:17 real fast?
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5. And verse.
Why did I put 5:17? Salaki. It might be Salaki. Bear with me. It might be 50 and 17. It's 50 and 17. Salaki.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. And verse 17. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria has devoured him.
Exactly. It says the king of Assyria has devoured him. And it says what? The lions have driven him away. Now, when we go back to, can you go back to Daniel 7:4?
Yep. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
You see how it ties together? So now let's find out. Let's go to the ancient Assyrian Empire, right? Now, what they call it a griffin. It had the body of a lion and it had eagle's wings. That's a cow. But they had a lot of those statues that was standing during the Assyrian Empire. If I could find one. Is this one? Oh, I think those feet is hooves. There it is. They go the lion with the eagle's wings. Yeah. You see? They go a lion with the eagle's wings. That represent. No, you want to say something?
Now I was just reading. It says decorations from royal palace at Nineveh.
Yeah.
So that was there. That's Nineveh. That was the
headquarters, the capital of Assyria. That's right. Yeah. You know. So Daniel 7:1, it says what? That lion. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, which represents what? Go back to Jeremiah 15:17.
Jeremiah 15:17. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria hath devoured him. And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones.
So when we go back to Daniel 7:4, can you finish that out, Baba Fasha?
Yep, Daniel chapter 7 and verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings.
Which represent what? The Assyrian empire. Go ahead.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth.
Now the wings were plucked represent what? The Assyrian empire being taken down. Go ahead.
And it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
And that represents Nebuchadnezzar. It says, second, this Nebuchadnezzar has broken his bones. Now, that's why the first beast is known as the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, because they coincide together. Because contrary to popular belief, people think that Nebuchadnezzar was a Cushite just because he ruled Babylon. That's not factual. When you actually go into history and when you look up Nebuchadnezzar and when you look up his father and the lineage he came from, Nebuchadnezzar is actually an Assyrian. So the Assyrian Babylonian Empire are the same nation, but different capitals. You see, Babylon's capital was in what? Babylonia. Assyria's capital was where? In Nineveh, but it's ruled by the same people. They were all Assyrians. You see? So that's the first horn that scattered us. Can we get can you hit that Jeremiah 40?
This is the book of Jeremiah. chapter 40 and verse, I'll start at verse 9. It says, and Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shapha, swear unto them and to their men, saying, fear not to serve the Chaldeans, dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. As for me, behold, I will dwell at Mizpah to serve the Chaldeans, which will come unto us. But ye gather ye wine and summer fruits and oil, and put them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities that ye have taken. Likewise, when all the Jews that were in Moab, and among the Ammonites, and in Edom, and that were in all the countries.
So this is showing you that even during the Babylonian Empire, Israel was scattered throughout the known world during that time.
Right. And we had communities.
That's right.
As you read up, I'll read the latter part of that 10th verse. It says, and dwell in your cities that ye have taken. So when we were taken captive by the Babylonians, we were allowed to have certain communities in that area, in certain areas, man, just like today. All right. We're in Esau's kingdom, but our people have communities that are predominantly Jake, that we have a certain amount of, for lack of a better term, more rule over, man. But anyways, verse 11, likewise, when all the Jews that were in Moab and among the Ammonites and in Edom, and that were in all the countries, heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant of Judah, and that he had set over them Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, even all the Jews returned out of all places whither they were driven.
Didn't Zechariah says what? These horns have driven them, right? Has scattered them. You see? Go ahead.
And came to the land of Judah to Gedaliah unto Mizpah, and gathered wine and summer fruits very much.
Right. So now we can go back to Daniel 7, because we're showing you that what? That Israel was even scattered during the Babylonian Empire. Now that Jeremiah that we just read, it said all the Jews came up. But when we go into the second horn, the second beast, we're going to show you that not all the Jews came up back to Jerusalem. Some Jews continue to dwell in the land that they were driven to, that the land that they were scattered unto. You see? And we're going to prove that, Lord willing. Let's go back to Daniel 7.
This is back in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 5. It says, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh.
Right. Now, when you go through history and you see the empire that took down the Babylonians, were who? Was the Persian and the Medes. You see? And it said it was like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, meaning what? That the Persian side would be higher than the Mede side. Why? Because the Persians would begin to reign after the Median king had died off. And Cyrus had gained the throne after that, man. And it said, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. Those was the 3 cities, pretty much, that the Medes and Persians got their beginning of their rule. Those 3 ribs, when you go into it, was Media, was Libya, and Babylonia. You know, is Media? Lydia, Salakia. It's not Libya, it's Lydia. Salakia is Babylonia, Lydia, and Media. Those are the 3 ribs that's in the mouth of it, man. So now let's read what was taking place during this horn or during this beast, right? Can we get Ezra 1 and 1?
This is Ezra chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord Yahweh by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled. The Lord Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, thus said Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord Yahweh, power of heaven, hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth.
And he had charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah, which is there among you of all his people. His power be with you. Excuse me. It says, his power be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord Yahweh, power of Israel. He is the power which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth.
See, whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth. But in Jeremiah, it said that all the Jews came back up. So why is Cyrus making this decree that all the Jews that were scattered to come back to Jerusalem, man? You see, there was always a scattering or a dispersion of Israelites throughout the known world back then, man. And this is history that our people understood and fully knew during the time of Acts, during the time of Yahweh Shai, you know. And these things got to be retaught. Why? Because we discontinue from our heritage. So we must know and understand these things in order to understand the New Testament, to know, in order to understand the things that was taking place during that time. Go ahead.
It says, verse 4, and whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, besides the free will offering for the house of the Most High that is in Jerusalem. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites with all them whose spirit the Most High had raised to go up to build the house of the Lord Yahweh, which is in Jerusalem.
Exactly, and that's the point. All those who the Lord put the spirit in to come back to Jerusalem, man, to build. You see? And this was during the reign of Cyrus, right? But now as the Persian Empire continued to progress, as it is written in Daniel, the 11th chapter, certain kings ruled, certain kings was richer than others, and certain kings expanded the empire more and more. So from there, can we get Esther 1:1?
This is the book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 provinces.
Over 107 provinces. So it says from India even to Ethiopia, man. You see this vast empire right here? This is a whole lot of land right here, man. You know? This is a whole lot of land right here, right? So can you read that verse 1 again?
Yep. It says, now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 provinces, that in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his provinces, unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
Okay, that's all we need on that. Jump to the 3rd chapter and the 8th verse, Baba Kusha.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces.
And where?
In all the provinces.
In all. So Israel was still, so when we read Ezra 1, when it said what? That the Lord put the spirit in certain Israelites to come up. It wasn't all Israelites that the Lord put the spirit in to come up and build the temple. There were still other Israelites who were still scattered throughout what? The known world, man. And these scriptures are showing you that Israel was always scattered, and there was communities outside of Israel, man. You see? So Apostle Ramlab did that lesson about the devout Jews. Now you see that these people have been dwelling in those lands for hundreds of years, man. Now certain ones kept their customs. Certain ones knew that we was Israelites, and they kept the custom. They came up 3 times a year following after the law, statutes, and commandments, and certain ones didn't, man. You see? So go ahead, bro.
It says there's a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces
from Ethiopia all the way to India. In every province, there was an Israelite scattered there, man. You see? Look, you see Greece over here, Macedon, Lydia. You see? Sardis, Phrygia, Sicilia. Are these names ringing a bell when you read the New Testament? Right? Go ahead, bro.
Yep. It says, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Right. So that's proving you that what? Israel was scattered during the Babylonian Empire. Israel was scattered during the Persian Empire, man. So this is not just, you know what I'm saying, 20 years, 30 years. No, these is hundreds of years that these kingdoms is separated from each other, man. Right? So from there, let's go back to Daniel 7.
Back in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 5.
We in 6 now.
6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Right. Now this beast, this third horn, is what? It's talking about the Greek Empire. This leopard represents who? Alexander the Greek. And he had 4 wings of a fowl on the back, represents his 4 generals. Read 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter. You see? And the beast had 4 heads, which represents what? His 4 generals as well. Read Daniel, the 8th chapter. The ram that the goat attacked. But you got guys talking about the Bible ain't real. It's a fairy tale. You crazy as hell, man.
All this history, and this is prophecy. These
things
were written before it happened, before they even knew about the Romans and the Greeks and so on and so forth. These things were future prophecy. The Lord had already had it ordained which nation would be ruling at a certain time and so on and so forth.
Yep.
As the scripture says,
go ahead.
As the scripture says in the book of Psalms, the Lord put it down one and put it up another, roughly paraphrased.
That's right. It says promotion cometh neither from the east or from the west, but from the west, but the Most High is the judge.
Mm-hmm.
He put it down one and he raised up another, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's written in the book of Psalms.
And what happens in slavery? You know, what happens when a nation is taken into captivity? That's a part of the spoils. They're sold to other kings and rulers in various other lands, just like in the slave trade. All right. When Esau came in power in the Renaissance period in the slave trade, what happened unto Jake? We were gathered up. We were scattered to Europe, Spain, Portugal. All right. Different places in the Philippines. Okay. So on and so forth, man. We were traded. So you're seeing in these other captivities, the same thing was happening, man. All right. Daniel, when he was taken into captivity, he was brought up in to a higher status and so on and so forth. But he was coming from captivity, man.
Yeah. Well, when you go back to even to the Assyrian Empire, when you read the book of Tobit, I believe it was Tobit's brother or his nephew. Yep. Don't quote me on the relation, but I know it was somebody related to him. Mm-hmm. And it said that he was high up in the Assyrian Empire, man.
Right.
Just like Daniel,
yep.
He was high up in the Babylonian Empire, which translated over to the Persians and Medes. He was even high up in the Persian Empire.
Yep.
And then what happened with Mordecai? Mordecai was put in a position of power in the Persian Empire, man. Oh, it was his nephew. Okay.
Yep.
You know? So, man, Israel, we were scattered throughout all these provinces, man. And these are the things that's written within our history book, which is written within these holy scriptures. You know? So now this the Daniel 7 and 6 is talking about the Greek Empire. So let's go to 1 Maccabees Let's get chapter 12 and verse 5.
This is First Maccabees chapter 12 and verse 5. It says, and this is the copy of the letters which Jonathan wrote to the Lacedaemonians. Jonathan the high priest and the elders of the nation and the priests and the other people of the Jews unto the Lacedaemonians, their brethren, send greeting. There were letters sent in times past.
So it says, and this is the copy of the letters which Jonathan wrote unto the Lacedaemonians, like the brother just read, right? So now, like the apostles been harping on, man, this when you read these scriptures, this is what you have to do. You go back and you research these things. You find out where these places are. You find out who these people are. It just said that the Lacedaemonians are who? They're the brethren unto who, man? Jonathan and the Jews, right? Can you read that again?
Yep. Verse 6, Jonathan the high priest and the elders of the nation and the priests and the other people of the Jews unto the Lacedaemonians, their brethren, send greeting.
Right. So let's simple, just paste that. Lacedaemonians, right? It says Laconia. Oh, Lacedaemonians is from Laconia. Okay. Is a region of Greece in the southeastern part of the Peloponnese Peninsula. Its administrative capital is Sparta. Oh, so the Lacedaemonians are the Spartans.
It's Jake, baby.
You see? Right? So let's go back.
You already knew, man. 300, just a side note, you know Esau wasn't going that hard like that.
God knows, man.
That was
you watched that movie 300, man. You damn sure know that wasn't Esau weak ass, man.
Oh, like you might y'all for getting our history back, man. But back in that Maccabees, First Maccabees chapter 12 and verse 7, there were letters sent in times past unto Onias the high priest from Darius.
No, that was the point. Let's jump down to verse 20.
Yep.
Because it lets you know that Jonathan wrote letters unto them, and they called them their brethren. So let's jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20. Arius
started 19 slot.
Verse 19. And this is the copy of the letters which Onias sent. Arius, king of the Lacedaemonians, to Onias the high priest greeting. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham.
Oh shit. So look, that's letting you know how long was these people in Greece? How long were they there? Like when did they originate there? Like when did that happen, man? You see? So our people have been scattered even way before 70 AD, man. And this is the history that we must understand to understand the mystery of the Gentiles, man. You know? Go ahead.
It says, I'm gonna read that verse again. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Now, therefore, since this has come to our knowledge, ye shall do well to write unto us of your prosperity.
So they try to find out, hey, you my brother, bro. How y'all doing, man? Y'all cool? Y'all need help? What's going on? You know what I'm talking about? You see? This is our history, man, and our people have been scattered for hundreds of years. Once again, man, for ages. You see? I keep saying hundreds of years, thousands of years, man.
Yeah.
So from there, let's go to Second Mac 1 and 1.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. The brethren, the Jews that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea.
It's like I'm trying to get there. I can't get to it because the thing is telling me to stop sharing. I ain't trying to stop sharing. All right, here we go. Salaki, brothers. All right, go ahead.
It says, 2 Maccabees 1:1, the brethren, the Jews that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea, wish unto the brethren, the Jews that are throughout Egypt, health and peace.
That's where?
Throughout Egypt, health and peace.
So the Israelites writing unto the Israelites that's in Egypt. How long they been in Egypt, man? You see, this is our history. When you read the book of Jeremiah during the time of the Babylonians, there were some of our people who was trying to flee into Egypt to escape from Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
But the Lord told them what? No, Nebuchadnezzar gonna come fuck your ass up there too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the point is that our people have always been scattered throughout the known world, man. And this is the understanding that you must have when you read the New Testament. And it'll help you have an understanding of what the times we live in today, of how our people is scattered throughout the earth today, man. In that book of Jeremiah, it says what? That 40 that we read, it said that our people came from Moab and Edom. You know, real quick, can you grab what is that? Is it Isaiah?
Oh yeah, the 9th chapter.
No. 20. Is it 26:4? Is it 26:4? No, it's not 26:4. So like, bear with me, brothers. Isaiah 16:4. Salaki.
This is Isaiah chapter 16 and verse 4. Let mine outcast dwell with thee, Moab.
Who?
Moab, be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler.
Well, who is the spoiler? Esau, Edom, man. You know? So Moab is a covert. A covert is what? Let's get that word. See, in this prophecy, man, there's no way around this, man. So for a nigga to tell you all the 12 tribes are of Negro descent, the Northern Kingdom is in Africa today, nigga, you crazy as hell, man. 2 Ezra 13th chapter clearly says that they went into a place where where mankind didn't dwell. In the book of Psalms, it says what? In the book of Psalms, it says it speaks about the land of Ham and how it was inhabited. You see? So we know for a fact the Northern Kingdom didn't go into Africa, goofy mob. They went into a place where never mankind dwelt. And then when we read these scriptures, man, our people have always been scattered into these different nations, man. And guess what happens? And like we always, guess what happens when Jake get into those nations, man? Not only do Jake get the women, but the women flock to Jake. Like they throw themselves on a nigga, man. You see? You got something, bro?
I just got that word covert in the etymology. I don't know if you want to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, because we're speaking of the mystery of the Gentiles, right? The word covert, it says hidden, private, secret, concealed, hidden, obscure, underhanded, literally covered.
It's
covered.
It's the same thing as it says in the Hebrew. It's the Hebrew word sa-tha-ra, sathar, right? And it means covering, shelter, hiding place, secrecy, hiding place, shelter, secret place, man. You know, the mystery of the Gentiles. Like people can't get Bruce Lee being a Jake.
Right.
You can't tell that man the way the sayings he got, the flow, the spirit he had, man.
They even called it, like a lot of those Jakes in Asia, they were called the Negritos, man. You know, the Negritos. When you look up the Negritos, they were it was pretty much descendants of Jakes that were scattered in that area, man. You know, and they were being mocked and picked on. The curses followed them as well, man. They had songs. I talked to this one chick from the Philippines, an older chick. She had to be like 60-something years old. And she was telling me, I had asked her, I was like, have you ever heard of the Negritos? And she started laughing. She was like, the Negritos. And then she was laughing and was telling me about what do they call it? Like nursery rhyme songs that they had mocking them, talking about stay away from the man, stay away from them, and so on and so forth. But it just lets you know that those curses followed us wherever we were scattered to, you know?
Yep. Can you jump to Mark 3 and 7?
Yep. This is the book of Mark chapter 3 and verse 7. It says, but Yahushua withdrew himself with his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude from Galilee followed him, and from Judea, and from Jerusalem, and from Idumea, and from Idumea.
Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom. So there were Jakes living in Edom, man, as we read in Jeremiah the 40th chapter. This is during the time of Yahushua. What we read in Jeremiah, it was during the time of the Babylonians. When we read Matthew 1 and 1, it says what? From Abraham unto David was 14 generations. From David unto carrying away to the Babylon was 14 generations. Yeah. And from the carrying away from Babylon to Yahushua was 14 generations. So we're talking about a 14 generation span right here, man. So just imagine how those Israelites might have looked.
All right.
Look at Blake Griffin. His father is dark as hell, man. Then you look at Blake Griffin, he a little more brown, but look at his son. That's only 2 generations from his father, man. He the 3rd generation right there. Imagine 14 of them. See, this is the spirit of Yahweh Basham Yahushua. That's why the scripture says that these things are spiritually discerned, man. A carnal mind is enmity with the Lord. Neither can he understand these things. Roughly paraphrasing the scriptures, man. You know? Well, go ahead, brother.
It says, verse 8, and from Jerusalem and from Idumea and from beyond Jordan, and they about Tyre and Zidon, a great multitude, when they had heard what great things he did, came unto him.
There it is, man. You know? They came unto Yahushua. Why? Because they heard of the great things, man. You see? So let's go back to that Maccabee. Did you have something?
No.
Okay. Let's go back to the second Maccabees 1 and 1.
This is second Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. The brethren, the Jews that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea, wish unto the brethren, the Jews that are throughout Egypt, health and peace.
Right. So this was during the Greek Empire. So now you have a group. You had a group of Israelites that was known as the Alexandrian Jews. Alexandria was where? In Egypt. You see? So when Joseph, Mary, and Yahushua as a child, when they fled into Egypt, it was a community of Israelites that was there, man. Using extrapolation, Joseph probably had relatives down there, or Mary, or it was a community of Israelites that were dwelling there, man. Likewise, when we go into what? Let's go back to Daniel 7 and let's read the 7th verse. Now that we got into what? When we read Maccabees was during the what? The Grecian Empire. And those was examples of what? Our people being scattered in Greece and in Egypt. You know? So how much more in the other places?
Right.
Right? Right. So let's read about the 4th beast. Let's read about the 4th horn.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7. It says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And
these 10 horns, and it says this beast had 10 horns. Now, when you read in the book of Revelation, it's the same beast that John seen, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. And this same beast was waiting to devour the man-child waiting to be born. Now, when we go into Matthew, when we read about the birth of Yahushua, what army was there ready that was destroying the little children? It was the who?
The Roman army.
It was the Roman army, man, which letting you know that this 4th beast It's Esau, Edom, the Romans, just like that third beast was Esau, Edom, the Grecians. You understand? So this fourth beast is talking about the Roman Empire. And our people were still scattered throughout those provinces even during that time. From there, let's get Acts 6 and let's start at verse 8.
This is Acts 6 and 8. And Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles.
Hold on, Salaki, brother. I'm tripping. Let me get there. Okay.
Acts chapter 6 and verse 8. And Stephen, full of faith and power, did great wonders and miracles among the people. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines.
Exactly, the synagogue of the Libertines, right? So now when you go into it and you look this up, like, damn, who are the Libertines, right? You go and you look it up. It says one who has been liberated from slavery, a freed man, or the son of a freed man, right? It sounds like what? Like how our people left here and went to Liberia over in Africa. Why is it called Liberia? Because they were liberated. Same thing that happened during the Roman Empire. But let's continue to read. It says libertine denotes Jews who had been made captives of the Romans under Pompey, but were afterwards set free, and who, although they had fixed their abode in Rome, had built at their own expense a synagogue at Jerusalem, which they frequented when in that city. So they lived in Rome, but they would come to Jerusalem often, man, right? The name Libertines adhered to them to distinguish them from the freeborn Jews who had subsequently taken up their residence at Rome. Evidence seems to have been discovered of the existence of a synagogue of the Libertines at Pompeii. And that's the same Pompeii that was what? Mount Vesuvius, man. That was destroyed by that volcano, man. So that's showing you that Israel was still what? Scattered, man. You see? Because we're going to read about Paul and his journeys. And when Paul was going on his journeys, guess what it said he did? He went into the synagogue and disputed with the Jews. He was in Pamphylia and in Ephesus and in Corinth, disputing with the Jews in the synagogue. You telling me there was a synagogue in Corinth? Yes, nigga. Because there was a community of Jews in Corinth, Greece. You see? So how much more was it Israelites who didn't know who they were living in these areas? Because Jake discontinued from their heritage even back then. Just imagine in First Maccabees, right, when Antiochus made that decree that every man should leave off from the laws of their father, how many Israelites consented to his religion as it said in the scriptures? Right. But that ain't the first time it happened. What about when Nebuchadnezzar made a decree that everybody should bow down and worship that idol? Now the account we got is of Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, which their Babylonian names is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and how they didn't bow down and how they were thrown into the furnace. How many Israelites you think did bow down? You see? Because there was always 2/3. There was always niggas who was what, man? Who didn't have faith in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. There was always niggas who desired the ways of the heathen more than the ways of our forefathers, man. As it is written, there's nothing new under the sun. So even back then, you had our people discontinuing from their heritage, man, and they had to do what? They had to be retaught who they were. That's why Yahushua was so important, man. That's why Paul said what? They had broken down a middle wall of partition between us. It ain't no more scorning and looking down because they discontinue. No, man. As it is written, both Jews and Gentiles, we are all under sin. Who was given the law? Israel, man. It wasn't talking about nobody outside of that. Because these heathens wasn't given the law, you know, but I'm going on a rant slot. I see you got something, brother. Go ahead.
I'm just reading a little bit of this information. This is just out of a book that I have. It's entitled "The Jews Among the Greeks and Romans: A Diasporan Source Book" by Margaret H. Williams. And there's a lot of information in this, but I'm gonna get straight to the point. So this is on page 13 in a subsection that says statistical information about diasporan Jews. It says ancient writers, Jewish and Gentile, make much of the numerousness of the Jews of the Greco-Roman world. Modern writers tend to be more specific. Figures like 6, 7, and 8 million have been proposed. Barron has even gone so far as to assert that in the Roman Empire as a whole, 1 person in 10 was Jewish. And in its eastern half, 1 in 5. All right. So, hey, that's letting you know that even this is just in the army itself, in the military. Just like Jake is all up in the American military today, it said 1 in 10 people were Jews, meaning they were Israelites, man, you know? And then 1 in 5 in the eastern half, or 1 in 3 in the eastern half, as it said. 1 in 5 in the eastern half were Jews, man.
Yeah. And look, like now you can type this guy up like I just did. This guy, he was a Roman general. His name is Tiberius Julius Alexander. Let's read about him. Tiberius Julius Alexander was an equestrian governor and general in the Roman Empire. Born into a wealthy Jewish family. You know that's talking about what? During that time, there were what? They weren't Jewish. Right. They were Jews, man. He was born into a wealthy Jew family of Alexandria. So he was an Alexandrian Jew. But abandoning or neglecting the Jews' religion, he rose to become procurator of Judea under Claudius, man. While prefect of Egypt, he employed his legions against the Alexandrian Jews in a brutal response to ethnic violence and was instrumental in the Emperor Vespasian's rise to power. In 70 AD, he participated in the siege of Jerusalem as Titus's second in command. So this guy led the Roman army against his own people, man. That substantiates what you just read within that book. You see? You got it.
Because this is on the next page, on page 14. This section, it says the Jewish community of Rome. Now it goes into a lot of information, but I'm gonna get to the point. Now this mentions Tiberius. It says Roman Jewry in 19 CE, and Tiberius ordered the entire Jewish community to leave Rome. The consuls conscripted 4,000 of them and sent them to the island of Sardinia, most though they punished for refusing to serve on account of their adherence to their native laws. And I don't know if that's the same Tiberius.
They got to be talking about the emperor.
Okay, because that's 19 CE.
Because it was numerous times where the emperors of Rome, because Claudius did it in the book of Acts. Right. But when you actually go into it, it was more times that the Jews was expelled out of Rome. Right. It wasn't just that one time. Right. You know.
Right. And then this goes into Alexandria, but that just shows you that even in this time period, even in Roman captivity, Jake was getting kicked out, all right, and pushed to all these other areas, man. All right, being pushed to, as it said here in Sardinia, different communities, man. We were always being scattered, man.
It said that some even had a community in Pompeii, right?
This goes into the Alexandrian Jews too.
Pompeii was located what? In Italy, man. You see? And that's why it's not hard at Acts the 10th chapter. Right. Cornelius been of what? Of the Italian band.
That's the point. He was in the army.
There were Israelites in Rome. There were Israelites in Pompeii. There was Israelites throughout Italy, man. You see? So to go back, can you go back to Acts 6 and verse 9 again?
This is Acts chapter 6 and verse 9. Then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines, and Cyrenians.
So it was the synagogue of the Cyrenians too. Let's get that. The Cyrenians, it says what? A native of Cyrene. Let's find out where that is. All we got to do is copy and paste. Copy and paste. You see? Find out Cyrene location. Get a good picture so that we can be able to see it. How does this look bogus? Oh, there goes Cyrene. Where was Cyrene? In North Africa. You see? So there was Israelites in what? In North Africa. Which, when you go back to the map of the Persians, that's North Africa right here, man.
I already had Jake over there.
So how long was Jake living there, man?
Right.
Look, it says Cyrene right here. Oh yeah, it can go in. Cyrene, right there, right here by Barca.
Right.
You know. And this is the same area, if I'm not mistaken, that Hannibal Barca was from when he was fighting the Romans, man. You know, North Africa in this area over here. But that's Cyrene, right? Go ahead.
It says, then there arose certain of the synagogue, which is called the synagogue of the Libertines and Cyrenians and Alexandrians.
Yep, let's click that. A native or resident of Alexandria in Egypt. Do we need you know, some of our people is such as the scripture says. So let's copy and paste and put that into. That's a nigga where Egypt is. He gonna tell you it's in motherfucking the Middle East. Alexandria, Egypt. There it is. You see? Right there. Right there. Right? You see? So these Israelites was from these different places. Go ahead, bro.
It says verse.
No, you still in 9. Finish where you said the Alexandrians.
And Alexandrians and of them of Cilicia.
Oh, let's find out where Cilicia is. The land of Celix. It says a maritime province in the southeast of Asia Minor, bordering on Pamphylia in the west, Lycaonia and Cappadocia in the north, and Syria in the east. Its capital, Tarshish. I was going to say who was born in Tarshish, but it explains it right there. Was the birthplace of Paul. So when you look at and find out where is Sicilia, right? You got to do copy, paste, and go to location, man. You know? Hey, this is the unicorn. The unicorn doing all the hard work. You know what I'm saying? Look, it shows you right here. Sicilia, right there, is in modern day Turkey. And it even shows you Cappadocia, Lycaonia, Pontus, Galatia, Phrygia, Lydia, Lycia, Pisidia, Iconia. Oh, that's Ionia, Salakia. Pamphylia, Thrace, you know? And when you read the book of Acts, it damn near names all these places, man.
That's that Crete.
Yep. That's the island of Crete. Yeah. That's the island of Cyprus. There was Israelites all throughout here, man. You see? This is our history, man. It's amazing, man. Let's go back.
It says
Cilicia.
I said, and of them of Cilicia and of Asia, disputing with Stephen.
And Asia is talking about is Asia Minor, which is what? The same area right here, man. The same area right here. You know, this is the better map. This was all considered Asia Minor, you know, Asia, Pontus, Bithynia, Galatia, Cilicia, Cappadocia, all this area right here was all full of Israelites, all full of Israelites, because this is part of Paul's journeys, man, you know. But from there, let's go to Acts 13 and let's start at 5.
This is the book of Acts 13 and 5. And when they were at Salamis.
Oh, let's find out where that is. Let's look that up. Salamis, a principal city at the east end of the island of Cyprus. Yep. I was gonna call it Cyprus.
Yeah, that was on that map too.
Yeah, we've seen it on the map. Matter of fact, it's right here. I ain't even got to look it up. It's right here. If brothers can see that, I hope you can see that. Oh man, it's better right here. It's better right there. Here go modern day Turkey today, right? Which is known as Asia Minor. Here go the land of Israel, and right in the Mediterranean Sea is the island of Cyprus. You see? Let's finish reading what it say about it.
It says, and when they were at Salamis, they preached the word of the Most High in the synagogues of the Jews.
So it was synagogues of Jews there too? So how much more was it Israelites that didn't know who they were? Go ahead.
And they had also John to their minister. And when they had gone through the isle unto Paphos.
Hold on. See? You see how much geography and history it is within these pages, man? It says, and when they had gone through the isle unto Paphos, right? Let's find that out. A maritime city on the west end of Cyprus. It's still on the same island. You know? It's still on the same island, right? Go ahead.
It says, they found a certain sorcerer, a false prophet, a Jew, whose name was Bar-Jesus, which was with the deputy of the country, Sergius Paulus, a prudent man, who called for Barnabas and Saul and desired to hear the word of the Most High.
And another side note, when you do research on these guys, like the deputy of the country, his name was Sergius Paulus. When you do a research like on Pontius Pilate, and when you do a research on the different procreators and the different people in positions of power during the Roman Empire, these are people that actually exist, and there's Roman records of them. But yet the Bible is fake. You see? Because these niggas don't do the research, man. They go off he say, she say, and ultimately they blinded to the mystery that is the scriptures. That was a side note, but go ahead, bro.
It says, but verse 8, but Elmas, the sorcerer, for so is his name by interpretation, withstood them, seeking to turn away the deputy from the faith. Then Saul, who also is called Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, set his eyes on him and said, O full of all subtlety and all mischief, thou child of the devil, thou enemy of all righteousness, will thou not cease to pervert the right ways of the Lord? And now behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thee, and thou shalt be blind, not seeing the sun for a season. And immediately there fell on him a mist and a darkness, and he went about seeking some to lead him by the hand.
Smote his ass with blindness, man, through the Spirit of the Lord, man. See, this is the power that the men of the Lord had during those times. And guess what? That power is going to come back, man. To all the side note, once again, to all you scoffing ass niggas, man. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Then the deputy, when he saw what was done, believed, but being astonished at the doctrine of the Lord. Now, when Paul and his company loosed from Paphos, they came to Perga in Pamphylia.
So Perga is in Pamphylia, right? Let's just copy that right there. And let's go to look up Perga. Because a lot of these we had already seen when we looked it up. A town in Pamphylia. It already said that. So let's go and type this in. Oh, Pamphylia is right here. So Perga was in this area right here. But, you know, let's look it up. It is. Pamphylia. This is the area of Pamphylia, and Perga was inside of that, man. See? And where is that? Modern day Turkey, man. Asia Minor, as it is called. You know? Let me go back.
It says, verse 13, now when Paul and his company loosed from Paphos, they came to Perga and Pamphylia, and John departing from them returned to Jerusalem. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down.
So there was a synagogue in Antioch, which was located in Pisidia. Let's find out Antioch. See? Like Apostle Ramlan says, we know these lessons like this ain't gonna get too many views, man. You know, Apostle Ramlan been saying it in his lessons. This is too boring for Jake. As you can see right here, that's modern Turkey. See that right there. Antioch. That's Antioch, which was located inside Pisidia.
Ephesus right there.
This is Pisidia right here. And here you see the city of Antioch right there. You know? And then you can see Iconium, and then Derbe, Lystra, Perga, Ephesus, you know, Berea, Philippi, Philippians is in Greece. Berea, the church of Berea is in Greece. The church of Corinth is in Greece. Crete, the island of Crete, man. The Cretians and slow bellies. You know what I'm saying? They're all throughout here, man. All throughout here. It shows you Paphos, Salamis. Right. You know, this right here shows, shit, I could probably just keep it right here and just point out, you know?
And like, damn, Jerusalem way over here, you know? Like Jake was scattered all the way as a majority was scattered more in those other lands, you know?
And this is showing you Apostle Paul's first missionary journey. So this is showing you where he went on his first travels, man. You know, but we could jump back. We only got a couple more scriptures left. We finished that on verse 14. Then we could jump over to 14 and 1.
This is Acts chapter 14 and verse 1. And it came to pass in Iconium that they went both together in the synagogue.
So there was a synagogue in Iconium, which is right here. Antioch, Iconium, you know. See all these different places. Once again, it's full of Jews.
All right.
And this is talking about the Jews who knew who they were. This was of the circumcision.
Right. Yeah.
How much more of the uncircumcision? How much more was the Israelites that discontinued from their heritage, that didn't know who they were? Or that did know who they were, but yet chose the Hellenistic customs, you know, like Tiberius Julius Alexander. He knew who he was, but yet he chose that Roman custom. You see?
It says, and it came to pass in Iconium that they went both together into the synagogue of the Jews, and so spake that a great multitude both of the Jews and also of the Greeks believed.
And we know that Greeks is talking about the Israelite foreigners, man. You know? We know that we know that's talking about, man. Let's prove that real fast, man. This is the book of Daniel. Chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And guess what? Then not only is this talking about Esau, Edom, but it's talking about what? All the other nations as well, man. And it also includes 2/3 of our people. You see? So they ain't gonna understand what's going on. So when it says that they believed, it's talking about Israelites, man. They that are of faith are of the children of Abraham, as it is written, meaning what? That you are of the seed, that you are of the stock of Abraham. So from there, let's get Acts 15 and verse 19.
This is Acts chapter 15 and verse 19. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to the Most High.
Exactly. Let's prove that real fast too. Can you get Acts 21?
This is Acts chapter 21 and verse 16.
Start at 18.
Acts chapter 21 and verse 18. And the day following, Paul went in with us unto James.
James being what? Yahushua's brother, one of the apostles, right? Go ahead.
And all the elders were present.
Now, when you start up in this chapter, this is Paul coming back from one of his journeys. Paul said, what? I am an apostle unto the Gentiles. So his journeys, he went to who? He went to the Gentiles, right? So now he's coming back to Jerusalem, and now he's meeting with James and the rest of the elders. Go ahead.
Right. And just a point, like you said, he was going to the Gentiles, and we read all those scriptures showing that he was going to the synagogues. Now, even these Christians will say, well, when the Lord came on the scene, then that's when it opened up unto everybody else. Right. But hold on, what were heathens doing around these Jews during that time period? All right, they weren't mixing and mingling, going to the synagogue. They had no place in the synagogue. That's when you read in the context of the letters, he was saying to our fathers, this and that and the third. The heathens, that wouldn't apply to them. They wouldn't even understand the context of what was going on because they aren't a part of that history. You know, just a side note, but it's a lot. Acts chapter 21 and verse 18. And the day following, Paul went in with us unto James, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things the Most High had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry.
So when Paul went in, he saluted the brethren, and then he started saying what? His testimony of how the Lord is using him as a vessel to wake up the Gentiles. Right? Let's keep going.
In verse 20. And when they had heard it.
And who is they? See, this is context clues. This is, you know, in school, they teach you this. But a nigga, when he come, he reads the Bible now. Every who, they, him, he, we, all that get thrown out of the window. The they is James and the elders because Paul is telling them what's going on. You see? So when they heard it, when James and the rest of the elders heard the testimony of Paul, go ahead.
And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him.
They said unto Paul, go ahead.
Thou seest, brother.
Thou seest, Paul.
How many thousands of Jews.
Who?
Of Jews.
But didn't he say that he was sent to the Gentiles? It's letting you know that these Gentiles that Paul was sent to are Jews. Go ahead.
Thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are zealous of the law.
And they are all zealous of the law. You see? Just like when we heard the word, hold on, I'm an Israelite. Hold on. And we heard these words, man, and it resonated in our spirit. We became zealous, man. We became on fire for this, man. That fervency flared up in our spirit. The example is after Yahushua rose again, it was two disciples walking.
Oh, yeah.
And Yahushua disguised himself, and they was talking like, man, we thought Yahushua was the the Messiah, but it's the third day and woo, wop. You know, and then Yahushua was like, hey, you slow of heart to believe. Did not the Messiah have to do these things? And they said they walked with him. They desired him to come into lodge with him. You know what I'm saying? And then they said when Yahushua broke the bread, that's when they knew who he was. And then they was like, did not our hearts burn when he talked with us? Right. It's the same thing when we heard these words, man. Our hearts burned within us when we heard these words, man, because we knew it wasn't words of men. We knew it was the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. We knew that this was the truth, man. This resonates in our spirit as it is written in Romans 8:16. Our spirit beareth witness with the spirit of these scriptures, man, that we are the children of the living power. You see? Man, it's nothing like this word, man. You know? The excitement, the joy, the zeal, man. You know? Like, why wouldn't you want to put these lessons on wax? Like, why wouldn't you want to break bread and you know, this is rejuvenating. This is exciting. This is invigorating, man. Me and this brother had a long ass day at work, but man, I'm up and dealing like shit. You know? This is the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai and the water Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai for using us as vessels, man. And I pray that he continue to use us, you know? Look, man, hey, we ain't about none of that, man. Do you guys believe that? We ain't talking about the shape of the earth, man. We don't give a damn what the shape of the earth is. You can go watch another fucking video, man. Go ahead, bro.
Back in Acts chapter 21 and verse 20 again. And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law.
There it is. So let's go back to Acts 15 and 17. Is that where we was at? 15 and 19, Salakia.
Okay. This is Acts chapter 15 and 19. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to the Most High.
And so among the Israelites who are coming back to their heritage. Go ahead.
But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols and from fornication and from things strangled and from blood. For Moses of old time hath in every city.
He hath where?
In every city.
Where?
In every city.
You notice they said in every city. Go ahead.
Them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath.
Come on, man. So that's letting you know that they understood that what our people were scattered throughout the that empire, and that there were synagogues in all those cities, man. So the Israelite foreigners who were coming back into the knowledge, guess what? They had the people there in those cities that they could learn from, that they could learn their heritage once again, man. That they could hear these words. Go ahead, read 22.
Verse 22. Then pleased it the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren. And they wrote letters by them after this manner. The apostles and elders and brethren send greetings unto brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch and Syria and Cilicia.
Exactly. It says unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles, man. And you know, just for the sake of it, let's get that word brethren. It says the Adolphos, the brethren send greeting unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles. Let's get that word brethren. It's the Greek word Adolphos, a brother, whether born of the same two parents or only of the same father. X that out, because you know Esau like to put bullshit in there. Father, the father carry the seed, having the same national ancestor, belonging to the same people or countrymen. There it is, baby. So from there, let's get Acts 17 and 10.
This is Acts chapter 17 and verse 10. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming
Which
thither,
earlier we seen where Berea was. Berea is where? In the land of Greece. Go ahead.
it says,
You still in 10.
come. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews.
So there was a synagogue of the Jews in Berea, Greece. Once again, go ahead.
These were more noble than those in Thessalonica,
Right? Because that's Greece as well.
and that they received, and that they, and the brethren immediately sent away Paul, or verse 11, these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. Therefore, many of them believed, also of honorable women, which were Greeks, and of men.
No, Salakia, it says Thessalonica is in division of Macedonia and a residence capital, populous city situated on the Thermic Gulf. It's telling me it's a place in Asia Minor. Yeah, it's lucky if I said it was in Greece. You keep reading, brother.
Verse 12. Therefore, many of them believed, also of honorable women, which were Greeks, and of the men not a few. But when the Jews of Thessalonica had knowledge that the word of the Most High was preached of Paul at Berea, they came thither also and stirred up the people.
Okay, it's two Thessalonicas. So this Thessalonica that they fled unto, or that they fled from, is in Greece. And Berea is right here. It's like Philippi, Philippians, Thessalonians, Thessalonica is right here. Berea is right here. It's all in Greece. So I was right the first time, Slocky. I had to be sure. So they fled from Thessalonica and came to Berea, which is all in what? Macedonia, which is located in Greece. Go ahead, brother. Slocky, I had to be sure.
It says, verse 14, and then immediately the brethren sent away Paul to go, as it were, to the sea, but Silas and Timotheus abode there still. And they that conducted Paul brought him unto Athens.
Which we just seen where Athens was. Right here. So we went from Berea down to Athens. Go ahead.
It says, his spirit, now while Paul, verse 16, now while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry. Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews and with the devout persons, and in the market daily with them that met with him.
So not only was he in the synagogues, but he was in the market, the agora, in the chief place daily, man. You see? So he was dealing with Israelites of the circumcision and of the uncircumcision. The uncircumcision meaning that Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. He was dealing with both. So from there, let's go to let's jump over to chapter 18 and 1.
This is Acts chapter 18 and verse 1.
This is all to show you that everywhere Paul went, he went to the Gentiles to wake them up. But how did he do it? By dealing with the Jews, man, by explaining to them Yahweh Shai, and by explaining the grace and the mercy that the Lord has given unto his people, man. Not only to the Jew, but also to the Gentile, you know?
Acts 18 and 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had expelled all Jews Salaki, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews.
And this is a cut right here. A certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy. So he was dwelling in Italy, man. You know?
Because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome and came unto them. And because he was of the same craft, he abode with them and wrought, for by their occupation, every occupation, they were tent makers. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. And when Silas and Timotheus were come from Macedonia, Paul was pressed in the spirit and testified to the Jews that Yahushua was Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had opposed themselves, they blasphemed. He shook his raiment and said unto them, your blood be upon your own heads. And unto them, yes, Laki, your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean. From henceforth I will go unto the Gentiles. And he departed thence and entered into a certain man's house named Justus, one that worshiped the Most High, whose house joined hard to the synagogue. And Crispus, the chief ruler of the synagogue, believed on the Lord with all his house, and many of the Corinthians hearing believed and were baptized.
There it is. Letting you know who these men are, man. In Corinth, down here, that's where they was dwelling. Israelites dwelling outside of Israel, man. You see? Believing on our Lord and Savior Yahushua. So from there, jump down to verse 19, brother.
Acts chapter 18 and verse 19. And he came to Ephesus and left them there, but he himself entered into the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. When they desired him to tarry longer time with them, he consented not, but bade them farewell, saying, I must by all means keep this feast, all that cometh in Jerusalem. But I will return.
No, read that again, brother.
Verse 21.
Yeah.
But bade them farewell, saying, I must by all means keep this feast that cometh in Jerusalem. But I will return again unto you, if the Most High will. And he sailed from Ephesus.
There it is. So all the scriptures I had, man, is showing you the a brief history, you know, of us, the Israelites, and how we were always scattered, you know, throughout these different provinces throughout the ages, man. You know, starting with the Assyrian Babylonian Empire. You know, as we started with in the book of Zechariah, the first chapter. We can end it on that. Can we start? Go back to that.
This is the book of Zechariah. This is Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 18. Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And the Lord Yahweh showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do?
What come these 4 carpenters to do? Go ahead.
He spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head.
We didn't have no power against these heathens, the power structure of the Gentiles. Why? Let's get Luke 21 and 24.
This is Luke chapter 21 and verse 24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They being Israel. We shall be what? Persecuted from our enemies. Go ahead.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
In the times of those Gentiles, see the scripture we started with in Romans 11, it's talking about our people coming into the faith. This scripture right here that we're going to pretty much end with at the end of this lesson, is talking about the timeline that the actual Gentiles, the heathens, starting with Esau, Edom, on down, is the timeline that they got to rule. Read Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Now we're at the end of their rulership, man. You see? Where Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua is establishing his kingdom. It's starting with what? Us preaching his word. Daniel 2:44 says, in the days of these kings will the Most High establish a kingdom that shall never end. Roughly paraphrasing, man. And that's what you see taking place with the men out there on the highways and byways preaching the downfall of this present evil world. Let's go back to Zechariah. We're going to finish it up.
Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 21. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head, but these are come to fray them.
These are the four carpenters. The four carpenters are come to fray them, which is what, man? To cast out these heathen. Go ahead.
To cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter.
So our Lord and Savior Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua, man, is coming back to do what, man? To redeem us out of the hand of these heathens, man, and to eradicate their power. Like we stated in the beginning of the lesson, those whores represent the power of the Gentiles, man. And the Lord is coming back to take that power that he's given them. See? You got any closing statements or anything, brother?
Nah. That's it. Oh, I'll grab this real quick if I may. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcast of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
It said the outcast of Israel and the dispersed of Judah, which let you know that's talking about the nation as a whole, you know? Hey, so with that, and this is what the Lord is doing, man. You know, we're being gathered by the word first and foremost, and then Yahweh Shah going to return. And that's all she wrote after that, you know? So with that, man, we hope this was edifying. The water for tuning in at this late hour. You know, we give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers who preaching the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity, who's rightly dividing the word of truth directly and correctly. Peace, blessings, and salutations to you brothers and to you few sisters that's watching. Shalom.
Shalom.
La'ilah Tuwa.
La'ilah Tuwa.